Hello, everybody. This is Waldorf,
And this is Statler
and we're just going to take a few minutes to talk about the 6,000 point Vampire Covenant army I put together and ran at Brawler Bash.
Brawler Bash, right.
And a couple practice games ahead of that. There's the list. Overall, I'm not happy with the Strigoi on the Shrieking Horror.
Right.
It's a lot of points in one bucket, and he's not that well defended with a 5-up region.
Yeah, and he's not that offensive either.
I mean, you can pay a 170 point upgrade for him even further than what I have, and make him a 4-up region.
Right.
But still, I mean, that's one better for 170 points.
It's 170 points to give him a 4-up region?
Yes. Yeah. It's pricey.
Or you can just buy a 4-up regen for...
Not on a Spectral. Not on a Screeching Horror or whatever that is.
Yes, because it's a monster, yeah.
Correct. So anyway, that guy I'm down on. The guy on foot I kind of like. I like the way he performed out throughout it. The Necromancer on the Cadaver Wagon I think is fine. The way I played this army, I think I need at least a second Necromancer, even if he's a level 1 guy, just to carry a second evocation. Having a single evocation let the opponent always shut down evocation if he had to.
I believe that if you're playing the way you've built this army, because it really doesn't have any hammers.
No hammers.
So it's a kind of a gunking your opponent down and grinding them with your characters.
Right.
And yelling at them, then yeah, you need to have 2, if not 3 Necromancers. I think more lower level guys, because it's all basically about casting.
Correct. I still like the Cadaver Wagon.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
So I'd like to keep that.
Nothing wrong with having 2 of them.
I don't know about 2 of them. That gets pricey.
Yeah.
But if I'm... Yeah, I don't... And so, anyway, maybe another Vampire...
Yeah, you go with the cheap guys, what, like 80 points? Or it's nothing.
Cheap what?
I'm sorry, 160.
160 points
Yeah.
for a level 1 guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he'll have evocation and 1 other spell.
Right.
Yeah, it's not bad. Outside that, moving on down the list, the zombies are zombies. They're a bunker for the Cadaver Wagon. And that's pretty much it.
And you grow them.
And you can grow them. They start at 20. You can grow them up to 40. Right. I might want to start them slightly higher, maybe 25, so they can grow up to 50, but no big deal one way or the other. The skeleton units are a little small as well, especially if you're going to have multiple evocations, I think. And there's easy way to get points of those, and that is in the next unit, and that's the ghouls disappearing.
Yeah. Well, I think 30 skeletons is a good number for skeletons.
30's good.
You don't need to be any bigger.
Anyway, I was looking at maybe 35s or even 35s to 40, somewhere in that range. Whatever it takes for core, I think.
Yeah, because you're also hoping to, get off a couple raises and boost those guys and use it for, helping other people. So.
Right. The ghouls I don't like at all.
I'm not a ghoul fan. I mean, they have some upgrades, but I think they're just a little off the mark.
Yeah, I mean...
As a unit. I mean, they're okay as a core unit, but...
If I put my Strigoi Vampire on foot, the second one, if I still continue with the second one, put him on foot, I can take the upgrades. It gives the ghouls armor piercing.
Right.
Or Regen 6.
Yeah.
Regen 6 is kind of a... Yeah,
well, then you got to take the buff wagon with them.
Right, to bring that regen down one more.
Then you're doing the ghoul army with, then you have to take that. Yeah.
Kind of,
At least in my opinion.
But I was not happy with the ghouls ever in any of the games.
Yeah.
I mean, I put them in a bad position, especially in that last game.
Yeah, they didn't have anything to do for a while.
A lot of times they got knocked, blocked out of combat.
Yeah. Well, because the extra attacks, you want to go wide with them. And
correct.
It can be difficult to use them.
Yeah. So anyway, ghouls are probably out. 2 units of direwolves are the direwolves are great. I need to put more direwolves, I think.
I like direwolves, little darts of them, and
I think I need champions.
Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't, since they come back.
You put champions.
You can mess with somebody. You can, keep them around.
You can really irritate a monster with a rider, with a character.
Correct.
Because you charge in, challenge him. He can do
or any ridden thing. Yeah.
He can do 4 wounds max to you. You stand.
Yeah.
And irritate him.
Yeah.
And he kills you on his turn. You charge the second unit in the next turn.
Yeah. No, I like 5 with the champion with those guys.
Moving down, the gas I loved. I think the gas were great. I like the gas. That toughness 5 monstrous infantry is really good, especially with a lot of there's a lot of buff magic.
Yeah, because their weakness is they're only strength 4.
They're only strength 4, but the vampire count that's in them, the Strigoi with the bestial bulk,
right?
His default spell he can get is that Awaken the Beast, which is +1 strength.
Correct.
Or even +1 toughness, which I did a couple times if you're fighting something really big.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I like the gas, especially with the Strigoi guy with them.
Yeah, I like him if you can give him the buff to make their regen better.
The Spectral Hunters, without Vanguard. Because again, I kind of apparently made that mistake the whole tournament and Vanguarded them.
Yeah.
Without Vanguard, even with Vanguard, I wasn't thrilled with them.
To me, they're only somewhat worth it if they're bigger. If they're like 10, 8 or 10.
I think so.
Because the only thing they got really going for them is that, that pass-through attack.
Well,
and 5's just not enough.
The problem with the pass-through attack is to be able to use that, you're outside the general's bubble.
Understand.
And now you got a movement 8.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to get that out.
All I'm saying is...
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. But
yeah, if you use them, I think they have to be bigger.
Right.
Because they cost too much to use them as a small chaff. They don't really do enough damage by themselves because they don't have enough attacks. So you got to do something to get the
and they have 2 strength 5 attacks if they survive to that point.
Yeah.
But you're right. That's... So I'm not thrilled with the way they performed.
Yeah.
The Phantom Hosts... I'm not sure. I don't like the way they performed, but a lot of that is me.
You kept putting it in front of your units.
They ended up in front of my units a lot of times where they didn't need. They shouldn't have.
You're still playing in a regular army, not one that doesn't care.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't. I'm going to withhold judgment on them because I'm just not. I think a lot of it had to do with the way I played.
To me, I kind of like the idea of the hosts, but as darts, you keep them.
Oh, narrow.
You keep narrow in between your units to use them when you need to use them.
Yeah, and it brings down the attacks they take too. So
yeah,
I guess
exactly.
That's another.
They're not as good as they were with the new 3-up instead of 2-up. That does make them a little more fragile. But if you take them, I think you want to keep them as darts. It just seems that way to me.
So I think one of those units will disappear.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've got to somehow trim this down to 4,500. So there's going to be a lot of cuts in here.
Yeah, and I think you need to replace some things too, which we'll get to.
Spectral Hunters, the Shrieking Horror, I love the Shrieking Horror.
Yeah, as long as you're happy with it.
It cannot get in combat.
No,
that's the problem. That's its downside. You cannot get that thing in combat with anything.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of them just because they're nice when the Shriek works well, but you can't fight a lot of things in combat. It's target for anybody that has war machines to get rid of it or bring it down so the Shriek isn't so good.
Yeah, he took off one of them took off a steam tank in a single turn, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But that's what it can do.
Yeah.
Not what it will do every time, of course. So I'm okay with it. In 4,500 points, it's hard to fit 2 of them in.
Yeah, it's a lot of points.
And I don't think you can afford to have just a single one. I'm not sure that having a single one works.
That's why I don't like them. I don't think they can do enough to let you have unless you get lucky and go for a high point single piece that you managed to get.
Right.
But yeah.
So that brings us to the last thing: the Vampire Spawn. I liked these guys a lot.
They're kind of like a Vampire Swarm.
They really shined in the last game.
You didn't take a champion, did you?
No, I did not. They can take champions.
Yeah. I like
I'll have to look at that. For 20 points for an extra attack.
Yeah.
It's probably not bad.
And a challenge again.
And the challenge. That's a good point. have to look at that though.
Yeah. Oh, I'm pretty sure they can still take champions.
Like I say again, I like the way this unit played.
Yeah, I love that unit.
It cost me without having a reroll. Of course, it charged when I didn't want it to.
Yeah, but it's an inexpensive unit for the number of
Strength 5
attacks compared to the to the spectral hunters.
The Spectre, yes, correct.
You know,
the Spectre hunters, I'm pretty sure are gone from any list I do.
You just compare the capability and
right.
Yeah, it's more fragile because it doesn't have any protection, but it does put out some, and it's frenzied and all those negatives. But it's a cheap thing to go mess with people with a lot of strength 5 attacks.
Yeah, this army, of course, also had a lot to do with models available.
Yes.
I didn't want to borrow very many. I borrowed your one guy.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go borrowing the entire army.
You didn't want to empty out the cabinet?
No, exactly. I didn't want to empty your cabinet because I definitely think the vampire spawn are the way to go.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to pick up some more of those.
I like Varkalax. I think they're overcosted, but I like them.
The Varkalax
with the vampire spawn.
Yes.
And I love those. What do you call those things?
Don't know.
The big flying monsters.
Yeah, the big monstrous infantry guy.
Yeah, whatever they're called now.
Yeah, I don't know. Spectral Hunter? No, they're...
No.
Anyway.
Old Mortark thing, whatever.
Yes.
I think those are something your army could really use because you lack...
they are fantastic, and
you lack high strength attacks. You've got 2 guys.
Correct.
And everything else is, strength 3 and some strength 5. And strength 5 is nice, but you start running up against armored guys.
Correct.
Or, some, really tough toughness monsters.
Right.
You need those higher strength. I think somehow you need to fit some strength 6 attacks in the army.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, in a unit if possible, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, the other thing I had overall with this army, I had way too much magic. Because 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spells and 2 bound spells.
Yeah.
That was way too much. It was nice to have the variety available.
Right. How did you find the magic as far as helping your army?
It's all evocation. I mean, because of the evocation, occasionally the shamanism spell would get through.
Right.
Because the guy would let that because the evocation was behind it.
How I would see is doing the evocation bomb and...
But they had to stop the evocation. And the big problem with one necromancer
just stop it once.
Is all he's got to do is hold enough dice to stop that once and kind of... Yeah. You need to deal with everything else.
No, I think you have to have 2, if not 3 of them.
I agree with that. 2 is minimum.
And then you just have to keep the guys cheap so you don't care.
Yes, if I'm going to continue with this type of list.
And you probably don't even need 2 shamanism spells, frankly, on the one guy.
I don't, and I need to probably drop that back.
Yeah.
I took that because I thought it would be fun just to mess with people.
Because all you really care about is the one spell. Anything else is gravy.
But there's a totemic summons down there.
There is, but
if you can roll a 6, you can get it.
The problem is you can't count on anything else, so you're already going to get one of those spells.
Correct, and it's even the totemic summons is so high to cast.
Yeah, and it's not an army that needs it. You can summon your own guys in the middle of the battle.
No, it's close. You summon your guys close. The big use of the totemic summons is if you're fighting an artillery army.
Yeah, I understand.
And you need to get that guy back there to deal with his artillery.
Yeah, when you got guys flying at 9 inches, though, you can get there pretty fast.
You would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those guys are really good. I hate sending them on tasks like that because they can do so much hitting something in the flank. And
they can, especially when you have multiple ones. You have the whole Air Force.
Yes.
You got those with Varkalax and then the other things in support. Man, you'd be like flying everywhere. Of course, you don't have enough points to do all that.
No, of course not. But anyway, so that's kind of the thought on this army and how it worked. I could also use a little bit. I also, in the last game especially, saw the strength 6 on my general just not enough.
Yeah.
He's strength 6 all the time, but that's just not quite enough to get through 1-up armor knights.
Right.
So, especially had that been a 1-up armor guy with a 4-up ward behind it, that makes it really tough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If he's fighting a character. So, if nothing else,
he's strength 5 base?
Straight 5 base,
I
correct.
mean, you could go with a.
And he's got a halberd to bring him up to 6.
Was it the obsidian blade or whatever the hell it's called?
He cannot take a magic weapon.
Ah.
The Beast of Bulk guy.
Oh, the Beast of Bulk you're talking about?
Yes,
okay.
the Beast of Bulk guy cannot.
Yes,
take
yes, yes, yes.
The other guy I'm happy with.
Yeah.
I thought he was okay as fighting because he was strength 7.
Right.
But
he was on that monster.
On the Shrieking Horror.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Beast of Bulk guy. I think if I run him again, I think I'll give him the potion of strength for that one time when he needs to eat through something
instead of swiftness.
Yes.
Or in addition to, I don't know how many points.
Yeah, the swiftness was just in case I ran into an elf that I needed to kill.
High initiative. And then again, you also had this thing against Brawler Bash, which was all about killing stuff.
Correct.
And this army isn't super killy.
That is correct.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's more of a
tie something up.
It's a grinding army that has with support attacks and support screams.
Right.
And you could use a few more supporting attacks, and then yeah.
So as far as vampires go in the future, I think I'm still going to put together. I'm forming up a 4,500 point list, which I'll play a couple times, see how it goes.
You got a tournament coming up.
There's a tournament coming up this weekend, the April 8th.
Right. Are you playing or are you just running?
I'm the ringer.
You're the ringer, okay.
It's my tournament, so I'm the ringer. Hopefully an odd number of people will show up and I'll play.
There you go.
I'm not, I'll be either a player or just the guy running it.
Right.
Yeah, I will actually play in it, not just as a ringer. I will compete in it if it's an odd number. So I hope there's an odd number.
There you go. You got something else coming up in May?
And then there's another one day coming up in May. And then near the end of May, there is the team tournament.
Oh, yes.
And Williamsburg.
Using this army, or have you decided?
What's it called? Something Mayhem.
Williamsburg Muster?
That's the convention it's at.
Okay.
But it's called something.
Okay.
Anyway, I forgot the name of the tournament. I apologize to Todd for that. It's on the message boards. It's on the 25th of May. It's a team tournament where you get 4 teams of 4 players, and you go in as teams. We had our team formed, but we're trying to figure out our 4th. But anyway, I don't know what army I'm going to take to that.
Right.
I don't know if it will be these guys. I think with a team tournament, I may end up doing something dumb and going with orcs.
Yeah.
So
I think Equitane's a good choice for a team
or
tournament.
Equitane. I have to put together an Equitane army and see how that looks.
Because we'll do the matchup.
But I don't want to do the same thing I did with this army, and that's play it 2 or 3 times before I go.
Yeah. That's a downside.
That is a downside because having even played through that tournament, I learned a lot about this army, and there are a lot of things I would have done different had I.
That's why you ended up in 27th.
That is one of the reasons I ended up in 27th. What are they called? Skinks with blowpipes is another reason I ended up in 27th.
Those are, they're not as scary if you don't have big monsters for them to take down.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I did, and they did.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny seeing a couple of the comments that posted. Somebody said, "This happened to me." I think it was Chaihammer guy posted, "This happened to me once on Universal Battles," and we both said this would never happen in a game, in a real game.
Yeah.
He said, "Thanks for proving that I'm wrong." Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was and it's luck. Come on, it happens.
Yeah, it does.
Right.
It does. But you just never know.
Yeah.
That's why you roll the dice. You never know if things are going to go good or bad.
So at 6,000 points overall, I do not like this list. I would not run this list again.
Yeah.
I'd definitely change a lot of things, even if it was just getting rid of the ghouls and bumping up the rest of the core to fill them out.
Right, for 6,000, yeah, you could have gotten, because the ghouls aren't cheap either.
And I also learned, which I should have paid more attention to, but if the dire wolf units go up to 8, they become core.
Right.
So 8 dire wolves with a champion, push those into core to fill out core to help replace the ghouls, I think is a decent way to go as well.
At 6,000? Yeah.
At 6,000. I don't think I'm going to have that problem filling core.
You're not going to have a problem. You got more than enough guys
with
here.
4,500.
At 4,500, yeah.
So that's the thing, is come back down to 4,500 where the game belongs and
right.
Go with that. Because overall, from what I see, is the game kind of, I don't know, highlights the problems the higher points you go.
Well, yeah, because I mean they still haven't gotten the balance isn't there yet.
Right.
I mean there are armies, and we have our opinions about some that are a little overpowered,
Correct.
and some are weak. But yeah, it just becomes more of you're more of whatever you were at larger points.
Correct.
So
if you're a weaker army, you become if you're a
become
weak
that much
army, you
more
become
weaker.
weaker. Yeah.
If
Especially in comparison. Correct. Right.
I mean, the only thing you get, with more points is you can, in theory, cover more of the table, but usually just means more characters.
Well, and the problem with some armies covering more of the table is a bad thing.
Correct. If you're relying on your leadership bubble.
Yeah, if orcs covering more table doesn't matter because the unit on the flank is going to get charged and pushed off.
Right.
So, but anyway, back to this army. Like I said, I wouldn't run this again in 6,000 points, but I learned a lot about the army. So it'll be interesting moving forward if I continue to try to do the Strigoi army. I don't think Strigoi is the better choice of the vampires. I may see what I can do. But I like the guy, the Beastal Bolt guy, which is a problem. Because I think to take him, you have to take the Strigoi as your main.
Right.
So you cannot take a second vampire with anything but
Well,
Strigoi.
I mean, it's still a fighty vampire, and I think if you bulk out your supporting units so they're more hammers,
Right.
you'll be able to work better with the army.
Could be.
I mean, I like the armored guys. I think those can be pretty potent because you can put them with those vampire knights and all of that. But
The armored guys?
I can't remember what they're called. Blood dragons or whatever they're called. Red dragons.
Oh, the armored knights.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The vampire knights. Yeah, they're great.
You can make them pretty hammery, but those cavalry are expensive. But the other hammery guys are the Strigoi because you're starting off with high strength and high toughness.
Yeah.
So you have to use that to your advantage if you go in that direction. So you see people talk. They clearly tried to make some synergies with the ghouls, but because of the power creep overall with a lot of the quality units, the ghouls just aren't that. They're just not that.
They're not that good
for what they cost in points. You
Right.
know, so but I think you use your skeletons and to hold people up and your character and your big gassed unit.
Right.
Then you have these fast moving hammer units to smack people in the flank and
Right. And mounting the second Strigoi on the Shrieking Horror kind of makes him you can't just throw him into a unit.
Correct.
To hammer something because he's vulnerable.
And it can be hard and you saw in some of your games, he's on such a big base.
Right.
You don't want him to die, so you don't use him as aggressively. And then he ends up being in places you can't get him in the combat because
he won't fit any longer.
He won't fit any longer because some of your army is about gumming people up. So,
right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's kind of it for what my thoughts are on what this was.
So you're ours. Maybe we can hear thoughts from the three people that read our posts.
Yes. If you guys want to chime in, if any of you know anything, have any ideas. But yeah, I do have to trim this down to 4,500 for a little while. I think I will continue to play vampires off,
Yes.
Orcs will always show back up now and then.
Right.
And eventually become my main army again at some point.
Absolutely.
For a long time. But I do want to try them. I do want to continue with vampires for
and right
a little
now,
bit.
in the stuff that you have painted, your army's built around Strigoi, so
right.
That's really,
that's my direction.
The direction for now.
Right. So anyway, that'll do it for now. Thanks for listening.
Until next time.